George Whitefield delivered his sermon, Britain's Mercies, Britain's Duties, on August 24th, 1764, in the New Building in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. On this preaching tour in America, George Whitefield had previously met with clergymen in New England. He gave warning to Samuel Langdon of a supposed threat to America from both Parliament and the Anglican Church. As Langdon would quote him later, Whitefield said, "I can't in conscience leave the town without acquainting you with a secret. My heart bleeds for America. Oh, poor New England. There is a deep-laid plot against your civil and religious liberties, and they will be lost. Your golden days are at an end. You have nothing but trouble before you. Your liberties will be lost." End quote. This statement, which, without considering the full text of Britain's Mercies, Britain's Duties, would support the commonly held assertion that the Great Awakening in general, and perhaps Whitefield himself, fueled the American War for Independence. Whitefield was no stranger to the American scene in 1764. He had been a major figure in the American colonies since his first visit in 1738. He had cut a wide swath in American religious life, using newspapers and advertisements to give notice for his speaking engagements. As Frank Lambert states in Peddler and Divinity, quote, "What was new about Whitefield was the skill as an entrepreneur, an impresario, that made him a full-fledged forerunner to evangelists like Charles Grandison Finney and Billy Graham." However, in Britain's Mercies, Britain's Duties, there is no public urging in the sermon for his listeners to be wary of Parliament and the British Crown. Rather, this would probably best be described as a sermon urging the hearers to give thanks for God's preserving England and its colonies in past times from both persecution and conquest by Catholic nations. Urgings for Christian piety before God and obedience to Christ are also rife in later sermons that Whitefield gave in the colonies. However, the subtlety of this particular message is interesting. England and America are differentiated. There is no talk of them being a single unified body. There is a constant theme running through this sermon of Whitefield urging his listeners to be thankful to God for their liberties, and as good Christians to be willing to defend those liberties. John Butler, in his treatise, Enthusiasm Described and Derided, would urge caution regarding the theory that the Great Awakening was directly linked to the American Revolution. If Butler's arguments against this widely held belief are valid, Whitefield's sermon perhaps points to a pre-existing attitude, a sense of the colonies being different from the British home country in ways, although subtle, would eventually pit England against her colonies.